The over 40-year 1,000 build maternity block, 1,000 bed, I beg your pardon, maternity block at the Komfo Teaching Hospital is to be pulled down for reconstruction after it failed a structural integrity test. This will be the second time that the multi-story structure is being pulled down due to neglect by successive governments, leading to a weakened structure. The block, which holds the solution to a major part of Komfo Teaching Hospital's congestion challenges, was first pulled down in 1999 due to what they described as structural integrity problems. This was announced in a statement by the management of the facility. We'll go live to the place shortly, but first listen to President Akufo-Addo, who cut the sword at a ceremony in May of last year.
As President of the Republic, I paid a 3-day working visit to the Ashanti region as part of my tour of the entire country, which has since become an annual routine undertaking of mine over the last 3 years. My itinerary in Ashanti that year brought me to the abandoned maternity and children's block of the Komfo Teaching Hospital, Kumasi. I was made to understand at the time that this project had began in 1976 as part of the Komfo Teaching Hospital expansion project that came to a standstill in 1979. It was reactivated in 1999 under the administration of the first President of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, but again stalled shortly afterwards. In 2004, the administration of the second President of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency John Ajikun Kufuor, took it up. But soon after his departure from office in January 2009, at the end of his mandate, work on this project was discontinued until the assumption of office of another NPP administration, the Akufo-Addo government, in 2017. In my remarks after the visit to this project site, I pledged that government would undertake a comprehensive assessment of the situation.
That was President Akufo-Addo in May of last year with that announcement. While JoyNews gathers, the latest intended demolition has not been part of the reactivation work plan. So what kind of feasibility study was done to restart the work? Erastus Asaridonko is joining me on Zoom with more. Hello, Erastus.
Yeah, Gifty.
Erastus, what do we know, according to the experts, as the basis for which this building has to be pulled down after all these years and the promises we've had?
Well, we are still trying to get a copy of their assessment findings, but we are told by hospital sources and the Ministry of Health that after some checks and some assessment done by some engineering institutions, they found that the concrete is weak and brittle in certain sections of the entire structure. They also found some rusty iron rods within the structure in certain sections of the building. And so they came to the conclusion that, in fact, if they add equipment and they add staff and patients to this whole structure, the various tenants cannot hold the weight. And so at a point in time, it could bring a disaster. So they have to pull it down and reconstruct it right from the scratch.
And how long have they known this, and why are we now getting to know? Are there any answers to this?
Well, I asked the same question, and the answer I'm getting is that the assessment was done recently. And so to just understand the structural integrity of the building and what it would take to complete it. And after the assessment, they came to the realization that the structure itself is weak, and so it will not be to the advantage of anybody to continue it. So they presented those findings to Cabinet, and Cabinet, after studying the report, also admitted that yes, the building needs to be pulled down and reconstructed to enable a proper expansion and proper materials to be invested into this whole structure for future use.
Well, we've put a lot of emphasis on this particular building, talking about the enormous benefits it holds for the people in Kumasi and adjoining regions. People had a lot of expectations. What kind of sentiments are they sharing right now following this announcement?
So I must say that the street is full of three different views. There are those who have expert background, who think, for example, that when it comes to buildings of such nature, which has been standing for over 20 years, definitely you have some wear and tear. And when you do an assessment, you are trying to find out whether the wear and tear is fixable and it's cost effective. Because one person, for instance, told me that if you would try to fix or make some additions to the existing structure because it is weak, the cost of doing that and completing it will be more than if you started a whole new project together and be able to fit in the right materials. There are other people who also question the integrity of government in this whole venture because they believe that somebody is benefiting somewhere because an amount was quoted for the completion of this project. In 2019, Parliament approved a loan of 155 million euros. The president announced that they were going to complete the structure. That was last year. And so were these two announcements informed by the existing assessment of the project? Did they do that assessment before coming out to say that? And so they think that there's a going on. There are others with a school of thought that, well, if government thinks that they need to pull down the structure for the safety of the people, they believe it's in the right direction. But what they are concerned about is the number of years it is going to take to rebuild this structure. And they are worried that it's going to take another 10 to 15 years. And at the end of the day, another government will come and they will say they will have to pull the structure down. That is the concern on the streets.
And to answer this concern, what do we know about the budgetary allocation or the financial wherewithal by those managing this project to finish it? Has there been any talk of that since?
Well, the only thing I know for now is that out of the 155 million euros, I know that 138.5 million euros will go directly to the contractor. And according to sources at the hospital, they believe, the contractor believes that, well, they can work with that amount and they can factor in pulling the structure down and starting all over again. And they believe that when they cost it, it should be able to cover the entire project from pulling it down right to rebuilding. But then it raises another question as to, so
Erastus? All right, well, so Erastus Asari-Donko there is my colleague in the Ashanti region who has been following up on the building, the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital maternity ward, as you are seeing in your view there. Well, what we're being told today is that this building has to come down. It has to be pulled down. Now, this building has a history. It's been there for about 45 years or more now. And the idea was to finish the construction so that it would deal with a whole lot of problems at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. Today we are being told that it has to come down. Erastus is back on the line, joining me to help us understand the situation, the thoughts and the concerns that the people in the region have concerning the latest announcement and what the way forward looks like. Erastus, you indicated that the people on the streets, believe that you've talked us through what their thoughts are. You also indicated that there's, out of the 155 million allocated, there's supposed to be 135.5 of that going directly to the contractor. Help us understand these financial allocations and the implications, if you have that information.
So that is what I'm told, that out of the 155 million euros, 138.5 will go directly to the contractor. And so we are trying to estimate that the remainder will be used to pull down the structure and it will cover costs of clearing the debris for work to begin. But then again, the question that many are asking on the streets is that, so when government put up the figure, did they have it in mind that, okay, we'll be able to use this part of the figure to complete it? And what would have happened to the remainder of the money as we are talking about now? Because if this amount could cover the pulling down of the structure and again, the reconstruction of the entire structure, then they believe that there is some hidden details that has not been made known by government sources.
Very interesting thoughts there. You've talked about those on the streets, Erastus. What do health professionals say? Have they been talking about this at all?
In fact, this building has been a concern to many. And you know that out of Sir Kwame Boateng's documentary, the First Lady came up with a temporary solution which is being used at the moment as the maternity ward. It's already getting full. And many of the doctors we speak with, believe that this is something urgent. It's something that should be treated as a matter of urgency to continue for consistently without breaking for the next at least 3 years to be able to complete. They are doubtful whether this will be completed on time. And in the case that this administration is no more, what is the guarantee that the project is still going to continue, is not going to stall like it did for the last 40 years and get to be pulled down again by another administration? So that's the concern that runs through. They are not too bothered about the demolition, but if it is demolished, what is the guarantee that we're going to see a consistent construction to see its completion within the next 3 to 4 years as scheduled by authorities?
Well, Erastus, we'll wait and see how that goes. Is there any information we've left out, but which is very important for our viewers to know?
No, I think that will be all, except to say that many patients from the 12 regions of Ghana are expecting and are hopeful that this project will be completed to actually bring down the congestion at the Komfo Teaching Hospital.
Erastus, thank you. Erastus Asare-Donkor there coming to us or joining us live from Kumasi there.